PDAC 2019. I'm with Frank Basa, the CEO of Canada Cobalt Works. Frank, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So tell us what's new at Canada Cobalt Works and what you're working on right now.
Well, actually, we're doing multiple things here. One of the main things we're actually progressing on is what we call our process called the Re2Ox process. Basically, the process takes very complex, very difficult concentrates, produces a cobalt sulfate end product for the battery market. Now we're taking a process and actually trying to make a nickel sulfate as well and a manganese sulfate. So that's one thing we're doing. We're doing what we call real time. We're doing actually three things at the same time. We're also doing drilling underground. We're probably the only ones in Cobalt Camp that is underground drilling. We rehab the first level. We're looking at dewatering and going through our other 11 levels. We have about 27 kilometers to look at. So we're also working on permitting for installing a 600 ton per day mill on the castle property. It's probably the only mill in the area, so we can also not only mill our rock, but we can custom mill for everybody else in the community. Okay. So basically three things going on at the same time. We call it real time, and we're working on three fronts, and hopefully we can probably come together in a 2-year time frame whereby the permitting is completed, resource is there, the mine is dewatered, and we have a buyer for our product.
Frank, I want to just touch a little bit more on the Re2Ox process because it's interesting, as a Cobalt Junior that you have this sort of technical angle as well. So, how does that add value for your shareholders, shareholders who might be interested in a cobalt play?
One of the main things is what most people are not aware of, all the ore in the cobalt camp has arsenic. It's not just the cobalt camp. You go to Northwest Territories, you go to Idaho, we look at some projects in the Philippines. Went all over the place. There's some stuff right now we're looking at in Chile. They all have arsenic. Now, when you have arsenic, no smelter will take it. So we understand that. We understood that years ago. So we came up with this Re2Ox process. All the test work's been done at Lakefield, SGS Lakefield, and we spend a fair amount of money with them, and they produce a product. So core thing here is you might have a resource, you have nowhere to send the product. So we went ahead and said, look, we're going to do this not just for us, but the whole community. So if anybody else out there has an issue with their cons, we'll gladly treat their product, produce the product, introduce them to the end buyers. End buyers more likely will be either the Asians. We've been talking to them for a year and a half. We're actually there a year and a half ago. And or the Europeans, and more than likely between those two will buy our product.
So Frank, what kind of news flow can we expect for the next few months in 2019?
I think what we'll be getting here is that we've had a kind of a delay on news flow because the labs are very busy. So we've kind of changed many things now. So the news flows is we've always tried to work on a 2-week turnaround. We couldn't control the labs, so we're trying to produce other news that'll come in that'll keep our investors informed on a fairly regular basis. Because I believe in news flow myself.
Yeah. Okay. We will wait for some upcoming catalysts and look forward to keeping track of the story. Frank, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.